Hey, welcome back. It's your boy Will J. Let's get into some deck brewing shenanigans. Today our featured commander is Tymna the Weaver. She's a 2/2 human cleric with lifelink that costs 1, a white and a black, and during post-combat, we can pay X life to draw X cards based on the number of opponents dealt combat damage that turn. She also has a partner clause, and so the other legendary creature we're gonna pair her up with is Falfis Shadowcat Familiar. Falfis is a 2/2 nightmare cat that costs 2 and a black, and it gives itself and Tymna Menace and Death Touch. Sounds like an odd pairing, but this will make more sense as we go along. The overarching theme of the deck we're building is honest beats, and by that I mean we're hoping to beat down our opponents in a good, clean, and fair way. We'll cover our usual ramp, removal, and draw, but we'll also go over deck-specific sub-themes of beaters, anthems, stacks, and something we call UBP or utilities, bombs, and pets. Tymna is usually seen helming oppressive builds, but we're gonna try and move away from that and play a bit more fairly with her. But don't worry, we'll make sure that others are gonna play fair too. For ramp, there are staple artifacts and white catch-up cards. But to highlight the non-staples, Ornithopter of Paradise is a 2-drop flyer that can produce mana, while Timeless Dragon can be plain cycled early and then later eternalized for 4 to get another flyer. Grim Hireling and Sword of the Hoe reward us for combat damage, and this will make sense soon because trust me, we're gonna wanna attack a lot. We're running a low curve, so keep within the 1 to 2 drop range unless of course you have a ramp card that is just too good to pass up. Orzhov has some of the best removals in the game, and while we will lean into that, some noteworthy picks are Rankle. He has an effect that when he deals combat damage, odds are the modes you will choose are the discard and sacrifice a creature mode. If Tymna is out on the field, you'll draw a card anyway, and this card hurts way more than you think. Deathbringer Liege turns our dual-colored spells into unconditional creature removal while also acting as an anthem. The boost effect stacks, so our dual-colored creatures actually get +2/+2. Poison the Cup and Doomscar are removal spells that both have Foretell, and this allows us to tuck them away for future use. We're hoping to draw a lot of cards, and Foretell allows us to keep these spells without having to discard them. Speaking of drawing, Tymna is going to be our main engine, but that doesn't mean we can't help her along. It sounds a little passé, but Phyrexian Arena and Greed are cards that draws value over the course of a game. Alternatively, Twilight Prophet is pricier wallet-wise, but it gains us life, deals damage, and draws a card all on a flying body. Court of Ambition and Court of Grace put the Monarch into play, and because we're going for beats, we should be able to get it back should anyone take the crown from us. Wedding Announcement is a new card that rewards us for early aggression, and then later on it transforms into an anthem effect. Brina rewards us with card draw when we attack, and it grows our little beaters over the course of a turn cycle. But what does our offense look like, and who are these little suckers? Limited All-Star Healer's Hawk, Beloved Princess, Vault Scourge, and Segovian Angel all cost just 1. They have built-in evasion, and for some of them, have lifelink, which makes it easy to offset the Tymna life cost. For 2 drops, we'd want something more though, and Order of Midnight and Null Priest of Oblivion both let us recur a creature if we need to. Shaylee lets us pump whatever new beaters we play, and Killian reduces the cost of our removal spells. All these creatures come in with built-in evasion, which helps us get in and trigger Tymna. At the top end of our curve is Serra Avenger, a 2-drop that can only be played on turn 4. And one of the powerhouses recently printed, Adeline Resplendent Cathar. She's a 3-mana value star 4 that pumps out a lot of creatures quickly whenever you attack with any creature. You want to get on the board early, hit fast, and get as much value as we can to be able to build towards the end game. With so many small beaters though, and our opponents at 40 life, the way to overcome this is to make them all bigger. We're playing a lot of non-tokens, so Throbbing Watcher and Always Watching make our creatures bigger while also giving them vigilance. Shadrick Silverquill is a double striker in the air, which also pumps our creatures, or lets us draw a card if we need some gas. For even bigger effects, Dictate of Heliod is a flash +2/+2, which can either catch someone off guard or you can play at the end of someone's turn. Intrepid Adversary scales well into the late game, allowing us to dump our mana for a finisher. And Commander's Insignia works well with our low curve partners because we get its effect for each time we've cast either of our commanders. A hidden commander and someone you can actually swap out for Falthis when you feel like it is Akroma Vision of Ixidor. We're running creatures with a lot of keywords, and she can be one of our late game closers. So we're trying to beat Face in the most honest way possible. However, because other decks are generally designed to cheat, we need to try and make sure things stay fair. Hushbringer, Strict Proctor, and Hushwing Griff can make explosive decks based around ETBs have to work a lot harder. Kunora's Hound of Atreus and Lisa Forgotten Archangel act like gatekeepers for graveyards, while Dothy Voidwalker gives you the added bonus of playing something from them. To note, all these creatures are also evasive, and they can also get in if needed. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, doesn't hurt us too much because we're generally leaning into creatures and we want to be running a low to the ground curve. Archangel of Tithes makes your guys a lot harder to block, while Ethereal, Absolution, and Elish Norn both give you combat superiority by pumping up your army and shrinking the opponents. A creature I go back and forth on because I know some people get salty over it is Dranith Magistrate. It significantly slows down commander-centric decks, or if they don't draw removal, it could lock them out completely. For UBP, we need to plug up some holes. Our board is dependent on surviving. Nothing beats Teferi's protection, but for alternatives, Guardian of Faith lets our creatures dodge pretty much all types of removal, while Selfless Glyph Weaver gives them indestructible. Cosmic Intervention is something we can foretell and protects all of our permanents. Blacksmith Skill and Kaya the Inexorable protect a key piece like Tymna or Akroma or even a Hushbringer. Karmic Guide and Ravus Soul Tender both give us some recursion in case we get caught off guard, while Ravus also acts like an anthem for that extra power boost. If we can't close it out the honest way, then we do have one card that'll smack somebody to the Shadow Realm. Vorpal Sword can give a creature of ours an early boost, but its 8 mana activated ability can kill someone outright if they can't block it. Since we're also heavy into evasion, a fun pet card that almost never sees play in other decks is Elbrus the Binding Blade. Flipping this dagger into Withingar Unbound always makes for a cool moment, at least in my opinion. We also have many life linkers in the deck, so to weaponize this, another pet card I like is Crested Sunmare. Making horses is just cool. I don't know, but if you're not into that, there are some other ways to weaponize life gain. There's Veto, Sanguine Bond, Angel of Destiny, or even Tevash Gloom Summoner. Find what speaks to you and have fun with it. These are the stats of a real-life, play-tested, and piloted build. This deck clocks in at 11 ramp spells, 10 removal, 5 draw, 10 beater, 7 anthems, 9 stacks, 10 UBP, and 36 lands. Finally, moving on to pilot tips, the first tip is get Tymna out ASAP. She's the engine of the deck, and having her around will make the whole game run a lot smoother for you. You might be wondering, what does Faltis do? She allows us to get in with Tymna by giving her menace in case our opponents have a blocker. Plus, she's an evasive threat herself. Pay life, draw cards, the more you see your deck, the more chances you'll have into drawing into answers and bombs to close it out. Second tip, commit to the board appropriately. We run a low curve, so it's very tempting to just run out as many threats as we can as quickly as we can, but while that is a line, it's also an unnecessarily risky one. We rely on a lot of non-token creatures, so each one is like a lot more valuable than you think. The anthems though, I'd be more willing to just play out because enchantments are usually harder to get rid of. The last tip is chip, chip, chip. Let's face it, some people have an army, we have a hawk. We need every piece of incremental damage to add up. This deck is not gonna combo off, but it can apply pressure consistently throughout the game, starting with small evasive threats, then scaling later on to bigger ones. Keep getting in for some damage, draw your cards, keep the game fair, and hopefully, you'll pull out a win. And that does it for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We don't try to build the most optimized or tuned decks, but we try to instead focus on playing with interaction, creating synergy, and winning the game, but hopefully, and more importantly, winning over friends. So if you like what we do, hit the like, tell your friends, and I always appreciate a subscribe. So until next time, see ya, pals.